All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else? I'm going to bring you a quick video discussing racial balance changes that just came out today. Gilliam the Rogue posted this. Essentially, they're revamping racial passives, and the gist of all of this is they want races to have their own unique specialty things. And so they felt like doing bulk, 6% max dam, 10% max dam, those things, it didn't always work well because, if you weren't stacking into that specific area, it wouldn't work out, with that specific race. For example, High Elf as well had all the elemental passes, but it didn't work for magic damage. So they wanted to make races more specific. They wanted to keep them updated with the lore so that, when you think about a High Elf, when you think about a Wood Elf, like where they come from, what they are, that you still maintain that aspect of them. So Wood Elves are known as they run through trees. They got a lot of recovery. They're very acrobatic. That's what they've traditionally been. High Elves are, typically based around magic. So they wanted to keep all those things. They wanted to have each class specific thing. So I'm going to dive into what the race changes are, and then at the end we'll go through what I think of it. So High Elf, when you read these, they talk about what they initially were, and then they have the arrow, and then what it's changed to. So it's a little tough to read at first, but so example, experience gain destruction staff skill line by 15%, extra 1% generic experience gain. That's what it was. They've made no changes to that specific passive. Spell charge started off as 9% magic recovery. Now what they've changed it to is spell recharge. Restore 575 magic or stamina based on whichever is higher after activating a class ability. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. So this is the new sustain. So 575 magic or stamina activating a class ability every 6 seconds. That turns out to roughly 100 magicka or stamina every 6 seconds, which turns out to about, if you're using class abilities, about 200 recovery. So it's a little under that, but that's what you can kind of think of it as. Reduces damage taken by 5% while you are using an ability with a cast or channel time. So if you're using anything that involves a channel or a cast time, like Soul Assault, like Time Stop, like sweeps, jabs, whatever, you get 5% reduced damage. This is a pretty big change from 9% magic recovery. So once again, it's going to come down to the specific build. In some ways, like this 200 recovery is going to be better than 9% magic recovery on some builds. On some, it's going to be a lot worse. Like my High Elf Magicka Sorcerer that's a vampire, like this is a huge downgrade. But now you get this flat whatever, regardless of what your build is, regardless of what you're trying to use it for. So Gift of Magnus started off as 10% max magicka. It's now changed to Seer Bane's Boon. Increase your max magicka by 2,000. So now it's not, a percentage. It's now just a flat stat. And you're going to see this across the board on all the racial classes. And then Elemental Talent. It started off as 4% fire, shock, and ice damage, and now it's increase your spell damage by 258. So, for example, High Elf is great for sorcerers because they have a lot of shock damage, but they also have magicka abilities. Now, flat spell damage applies to everything. So it'll apply to your curse, all of that, your Mage's Wrath, whatever. So, pretty cool change here. Developer comment. High Elf culture is heavily ingrained with the belief of destiny and birthright, so we wanted a passive that highlighted their ability to harness their innate powers or class. Granting them a unique resource when accessing a class ability really gets that feeling off and makes it much more engaging than previous flat recovery bonuses. On top of that, High Elves are well known for being powerful spellcasters, and we wanted to make this race feel more powerful when they were charging up a powerful ability. This all makes sense to me. Argonian. Everybody is worried about this. Let's see what they did. Increase experience, gain and resto staff skill line by 15%, extra 50% swim speed, no changes. Resourceful, gain 3% max magic and restore, this is the potion passive, that's what it was, 4620 health, magic, and stamina when you drink a potion. It's now changed to increase your max magicka by 1,000, restore 3,600 health, magic, and stamina when you drink a potion. So you've lost 1,000 off of health, magic, and stamina on the potion passive, and now you get a flat max magicka bonus of 1,000. So if you think about it, High Elves were 10%, and they get 2,000. Argonians had 3% and they get 1,000. And a slight reduction in potion passive. Argonian resistant, 9% max health, 1485 poison and disease resistance. Now it's flat, increase your max health by 1,000, and your disease resistance by 2310. So no longer do you get the poison resistance, it's just disease. You are immune to the disease status effect. So as an Argonian, you cannot get hit with Minor Defile, which is pretty cool. Actually, that's really cool. That's really nice. Yeah. Quick to Mend, 5% healing done and received. So that was one of the passives. Life Mender, increase your healing done by 4%. So this is a big difference. So one of the reasons Argonians were so powerful is they had 5% healing done and healing received. Healing done is your heals. So Breath of Life. Let's say hypothetically you have an Argonian Magic Templar and you're using a Breath of Life. Healing done is 5% healing done to your Breath of Life. So it'll add 5% more to the base value of whatever it is. So when you cast your Breath of Life, if it goes to somebody else, you get 5% more. If it goes to yourself, you get 5% more. Healing received is all healing you get from outside resources. So, or that you just receive from whatever. So on top of that, if you're a Templar, you were getting 5% healing done and you were getting 5% healing received on your Breath of Life. That's what made Argonian Magic Templars so tanky, what made their healing so good is because you had 5% of going both ways. Now it's just 4%. So you're still going to be able to heal quite a bit, but you're not going to be as tanky as you were because you're not getting that healing received value on top of it. So small changes to their potion passive, small changes to the healing received, which, you know, it needed to be brought down a little bit, but they now got the immune to disease status effect, which is very, very nice. It's very nice. So very good change. Argonians by nature are resilient creatures, adapting to their surroundings and accumulating themselves to the environment. Their ability to shrug off potent diseases makes them harder to take down, and their connection with the Hist empowers their will for life. Their bonus to healing done makes them gifted at healing themselves or their allies, while their resource return after drinking a potion helps them stay in the fight. Regardless of their role, their ability to recuperate and get back into the fray is something to respect. Previously, Argonians offered far too many stats, and they were mathematically twice as good as some races. Correct. This retracted from the unique feeling we wanted each race to have, since their bonuses were all over the place. Now they should have more of some stats that make them stand out a bit more, while they'll have less in other areas that weren't in line with that vision. I agree. Wood Elf. They're doing no changes to these, so I'm just going to say there's no changes to the bow line. Yifri's Endurance started off as 21% stamina recovery, increases your stamina recovery by 258. My current build that I'm running, I have roughly 2,200 recovery before a passive. When I took out this passive and then re-equipped it, I had about 300 recovery. So this is before the passive, or before I pop a potion. But with my specific build, it's not a huge difference at a base level. So obviously, if you're running a higher recovery build, you know, this is going to scale a lot more, and you're going to see a bigger nerf in that area. When you use your potion, you're going to see a bigger nerf. But it's not a huge difference so far for like my specific build. Resist Affliction, 6% max stamina and 1485 poison and disease resistance. That's what it was. And now is increase your max stamina by 2,000 and your poison resistance by 2310. You are immune to the poison status effect. So from now on, Wood Elves don't get the poison dot, which is kind of cool. Obviously, you don't get the 6% max stam. You get a flat stamina bonus, which is what they're going to do across the board, so it is what it is. Stealthy. Reduces detection radius by 3 meters and increases damage done in stealth by 10%. It's now changed to Hunter's Eye. Increases your stealth detection radius by 3 meters, which is After you use Roll Dodge, you gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. I like these changes. This Stealthy passive, it provides the ganking. There's less counterplay. I think this is something that they needed to do from a racial passive perspective. I think this makes a lot of sense. Not insta nuking people with 30k health is a good idea. But my only complaint, and guys, I main a Wood Elf Stam Nightblade, so I'm saying this about my own class or my own, specific race and class that I like. But they were just upset like 2 patches ago about how movement speed was way too powerful and people it was kind of ruining the game. So they got rid of the they nerfed the Swift trait for that reason because of stacking all this movement speed. Well, this stacks with Major Expedition, how it's written. After you use Roll Dodge, you gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. So if you use a bow, you get the movements, you get Major Expedition, and you get 20% movement speed when you dodge roll. You use the same skill and you get 45%. I'm not saying that, Wood Elves shouldn't have something like this, but I just feel like this is going to get hammered like right away. I'm just envisioning so many people getting mad at Wood Elves being able to dodge roll and be able to just fly away because, that's what the racial passives are. I mean, this makes sense. Like, Wood Elves are these types of players. Like, they are fast. They're nimble. But if it was breaking the game 2 patches ago, I mean, I don't see how this doesn't break the game now. So tell me where I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but quick note on why we changed stealthy passive. Previously, this passive was shared between Khajiit and Wood Elf and didn't help them feel distinct enough from each other. Additionally, since sneaking isn't a universal mechanic to the game, many enemies in Tamriel can't be bothered sneaking about, we wanted to take away some of the focus from the passive and build that into their other passives instead. We still want to support that game mechanic, however, so we kept parts of each of the Wood Elf and the Khajiit's version of these passives. Developers comment, the thick forests of Valenwood have imprinted the importance of the ability to hunt in the Wood Elf race, and as such they have natural adeptness for detecting potential threats. Quick to react and well-versed in the poisons of nature, they can outlast and outwit their opponents. These traits are demonstrated with their natural speed boost when tactically engaged in combat and their unparalleled stamina recovery. It all makes sense. It all goes well together. I'm just wondering, I kind of have a feeling this is going to take a hit. Breton, no changes to that. Gift of Magnus, start off as 10%. Now it's increased max magicka by 2,000. Spell resistance, almost 4,000. Now it's 2310 spell resistance and 100 magicka recovery. So big nerf to their spell resistance, but you get magicka recovery. And then instead of 3% magicka cost reduction, reduce the magicka cost of your abilities by 7%. So it looks like Breton got a buff. You now get recovery, and you get more reduced cost of your abilities. Reduce the magicka cost of your abilities. Breton race is a proud one, well attuned to the natures of magic. Their natural hardiness paired with arcane ability allowed them to shrug off powerful spells and retaliate in quick succession with their own. This is shown in their bonus to their magicka pool as well as their high resistance to spell attacks. Bretons should be feared for their ability to constantly weave spells with little delay. Breton's going to be very powerful, obviously. Like, they're already a good class, and this is another buff to the class. So, Dark Elf. Increase experience in dual wield skill line. No changes. Dynamic, 6% magicka and stamina. Increase your stamina and magicka by 1250. So Dark Elves get this flat bonus. Resist flame by 3% max magicka and 2079 flame resistance. Increase your max health by 600 and your flame resistance by 2310. So they buffed the flame resistance, and now Dark Elves are going to have 1250 stamina and magicka and 600 health. So they're going to be like the most well-balanced class. You are also immune to the burning status effect. So, what this means is burning status effect is the dot that applies a tick. So burning spell weave applies the burning status effect. All flame damage abilities have a chance to apply the burning status effect. Being a Dark Elf means that you are immune to this. So, in my opinion, like Dark Elf is now definitely the king for vampire, sword and board builds. Just max stats across the board, immune to burning status effect. Flame resistance, immunity, like it just all makes sense. Destructive Ancestry, it was 7% flame damage, 2% frost and shock, and now changes increase your weapon and spell damage by 258. So, once again, it's more of a flat stat thing, but if you want to go magicka, you can. If you want to go stamina, you can. Dark Elf is pretty powerful for both now. Dark Elves are a sophisticated race that can thrive in the harshest conditions. Intelligent and quick, they are well versed in blade or magic, giving them a keen advantage in juggling between the two. By giving them a balanced bonus of weapon and spell damage, as well as magic and stamina, their natural cunning and versatility will be demonstrated as they can fulfill any role. Yeah, this is going to be like the do-it-all class, Dark Elf. Or race, sorry. Imperial. Tough, 12% max health. Increase your max health by 2,000. Conditioning, 10% max stamina. It's now changed to Imperial Metal. Increase your max stamina by 2,000. Red Diamond, 10% chance on melee attack to heal for 6% of your max health. And it's now when you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to heal for 1750. Reduce the cost of your block and bash abilities by 5%. So this is going to be a stamina, sword, and board based race, typically. Stout and hardy by nature, the Imperial race is one of order in battle and culture. They stand strong and unified regardless of what hardships face them. Blah, blah, blah. Constitution passive, yada, yada, yada. Khajiit, nimble, 20% health recovery and 10% stamina recovery. It's now changed to increase your health recovery by 100 and your stamina and magic recovery by 75. So, pretty substantial nerf to recovery. So, in my opinion, but you get both of each. Stealthy, reduce detection radius by 3 meters and increase your damage from stealth by 10%. It's now changed to Lunar Blessings, increase your max health, magic, and stamina by 750. So, they now have a flat stat value as well. Carnage, increase weapon critical chance by 8%. It's now changed to Feline Ambush, increase your weapon and spell critical chance by 8%. So, now it's weapon and spell crit. They also have this flat value of health, magic, and stamina. Very cool. So, Magicka Khajiits are now officially a thing. Khajiit race is one of intrigue. I'm not going to keep reading these. You guys can go back and read them. We're going to go through these a little bit more quickly. Nord got a lot of interesting changes. Stalwart was 6% max stamina and 20% health recovery. It is now increase your max stamina by 1,500. And then when you take damage, you gain 5 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So this turns out to 0.5 ultimate every second. It doesn't seem like a lot, but for some classes like DKs, it's going to be handy. If you run like a negate Sork, Nord is going to be very good. Like I said, DKs, obviously Wardens, more ulti-gen for Wardens. Very cool racial passive. So it makes Nord very appealing for a lot of people, in my opinion. Resist Frost, 9% max health, 2079 cold resistance, and then increase your max health by 1,000 and your cold resistance by 2310. You're immune to the chilled status effect, which is minor maim. Rugged, 6% damage reduction, increase your physical and spell resistance by 3960. So roughly, if you put defending on a bar, I think it's like 26 or 2700 resistances. That's about 5%. This is more than that. So the only time that this physical and spell resistance is going to be worse than the 6% damage reduction is if you're already at the resistance cap. So if you're running a very tanky Nord with like 35k resistances and you have the 6% damage reduction, you're going to be more tanky than what this current change is. But if you're running a normal heavy armor Fury build and you're running 20 to 25k resistances, this is going to be a slight buff to your tankiness. If I remember correct, if my math is correct. And if it's wrong, please tell me I'm wrong so I'm not telling a bunch of people that that's what this is. But this isn't a big difference. It's mostly just the ultimate regen and some max stam. Orc got a lot of changes. Brawny, 6% max health and stamina. Increase your max health and stamina by 500. So some of the other classes have a 2,000. Like Wood Elves have 2,000. Nords have 1,500. They only get 500 max health and stamina. Unflinching. Healing received by 5% and 20% health recovery. That's what it was. And now increase your healing received by 4%. And then when you deal damage with a weapon ability, you restore 380 health and stamina. This effect can occur once every 4 seconds. So what this turns out to, a weapon ability, 380 health and stamina, once every 4 seconds, turns out to about 200 health and stamina recovery while you're damaging people. That's what this turns into. So another way to sustain that's specific to the class. Swift Warrior, 4% melee attack, 12% sprint cost reduction, and 10% sprint speed. One of the best reasons to be like an Orc Stam Sork right here. It's now increase your weapon damage by 258, reduce the cost of your sprint ability by 12%, and increase your movement speed while sprinting by 10%. So, you get 258 weapon damage as an Orc on top of the 500 stamina, so this is going to be one of the higher damage dealing classes in the game now. On top of that, while you're dealing damage, you get this recovery, so it's got this nice little recovery. The only thing that really got nerfed is the healing received and the health recovery some health recovery builds are going to take a knock, but I think a lot of people that are orcs are looking at this and they're like, well, compared to the other racial passives, like, we're doing pretty well. So orcs are very nice. Redguard, exhilaration, 9% stamina recovery, and now it's martial training, reduces the cost of your weapon abilities by 8%. Just reduce cost of weapon abilities. So this is a huge reduction, but it's only, the way I'm reading it's only on the offensive. So only skills have this huge reduction. So if you're kiting, dodge rolling, whatever, that's not going to count. Conditioning, 10% max stamina. Increase your max stamina by 2,000. Adrenaline rush, when you deal damage with a melee light attack, you restore 792 stamina. That's what it was. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. It's now changed to when you deal direct damage. So it's not melee damage anymore, it's direct. So your poison injection, a snipe, anything that has direct impactful damage, you restore 950 stamina. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. So that turns out to roughly 400 stamina recovery when you deal direct damage every 5 seconds. So Redguard's still very good. You get a big max stamina bonus, reduction to weapon abilities by 8%. So that's going to help a lot with the offensive. A lot of this is going to take some testing, but Redguard's in a very good spot, especially for what looks like DDs. As a closing note, we want to reiterate that all players will have a refund of all their characters' racial passes if they've spent any, so remember to reallocate any points into these on your characters once the change go live. We'll also be granting 1 free race change per account. So these are the changes. My opinion is I like them overall. I think some of them are going to need a tweak. Obviously, this isn't what's going to make it live, but I like this. I like the fact that your specific build isn't always like, if you want to be a damage dealing DK, like Redguard's always like one of the best ones to choose. Now it's like, okay, well, what do I value a little bit more? Do I want the ulti-gen? Do I want this? Do I want this? Now your racial specifics kind of guide what your class is. It makes your builds more unique, So I like this a lot. I think these changes are good overall. Obviously, there's going to be some things that, I already said it, there's going to be some things that need to be adjusted. I do think Breton's very powerful. We'll have to see how the Orc Redguard battle goes now, because I think both these are very interesting, and I just needed to go test these to see what each of them are, to see which ones I like. The other thing that this is going to provide for ZeniMax on their end is people that like to change their builds a lot will want to change their races a lot more now. Because, now changing your build could have a huge impact on like which race is best for that specific build. And so people that want to do those things and want to like try and like min-max everything, they'll be spending more on race change tokens. So yeah, overall, I like this quite a bit, but I want to know your guys' thoughts, obviously. So let me know what you think. Let me know which things you think might be a little too strong. Obviously, the PTS is coming out next week. I'll be testing this, and I think we should get some patch notes probably on Monday, I would guess. And I'll read through those as well. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.